All right, everybody. This is a broadcast of the Happy Star Network, sponsored by the E Nation. You guys keep talking about building, keep talking about there ain't no hope, keep talking about why everybody's ragging on black men, keep calling me a black man hater and saying I hate black men and all kinds of other shit, right? But there's a reason why all of this is taking place. Because you Nagas ain't worth two nickels to rub together. This is why we can't advance. When we have a lot of our men, their time is preoccupied by BS. And the fact that you sit up here and think that you're doing something for your people by just regurgitating history all the goddamn time and doing nothing for your people in real life, this is why we can't get anywhere. This is why we can't advance. This is why we're effed up. We're going to talk about it tonight. It's Gangsta Talk. All right, Dave.
Getting cream for the 9-5, bro. Yeah, and I've been doing this for a long time. Shoot the game, going for mine.
All right.
And this is the year when mad caps get peeled. So I'm gonna spark this line, kick the reel.
Bang them out.
With all this chaos in the realms of the street, your local street dog got to make ends meet. The average Joe's far too slow for this ghetto pro. You better know, when I hit the streets, I like to glow, I like to glisten. And at the same time, stay low, listen, motherfuck the fame. I'm pursuing the dope. My stilo is symbolic to a kilo. Cash is popping, coke's cooking, beef's copping. Ain't that some shit? A player that's used to living rich is now a sticky kid, caught up in a ditch. In 94, Giuliani kicked down the door. In 95, niggas flipped to stay alive. Peeling caps while I laugh. In the stats, the 4.5. Remy in the glass, spark the boom, then I blast. They wanna confine me, sneak up from behind me. Bust a cap in my back and put me where they can't find me. They hate to see a young player pay. I don't wanna see that, son. They rather see him spray. But I'm like Diddy, a Terminator, squeeze the lead off. Using verbs and nouns like rounds to blow your head off. Hitting up spots, heating up blocks. Investing in stocks like Colombian blow crops. I'm out to get cream and ain't no doubt in my mind. Fuck this broke shit, I'm hit, I get down for mine. Yeah, get you I get down for mine. I get down for this. I get down for mine. I get down for this. On the regular shit. Turn no bed. I get down for mine. I get down for this. I hear you wanna be a player. I ain't someplace you bet. Let's play a game of real nigga roulette. Witness a DOA as I spray the melee. Contact and punctuation is compared to AKs. You in a daze. Overdose for pure funk. I'm fucking off like Tommy Gibb. My karma's a boost monk. Decapitated rappers in my trunk. I'm sick, pumping skunk, bouncing with my click, popping mega jump. I'm getting back while these clowns be zigzagging. Once it's talk about flipping keys, come on, you're nickel bagging. I'm blasting off wings and making doubters believe it. You see, I was packing heaters when jokers was banging cheerleaders. Ain't nothing changed, it's still the same in the rap game. I'm known for banging rookies out the frame. Y'all done forgot who was the pimp from the start. Sipping vintage wine, eating a la carte. I'm phenomenal from the abdominal. Far from comical lyrics and sticking the brains like barnacles. Never sweet. I'm bringing the drama to the streets with techniques and rolling in fleets. Ain't nothing sweet about the streets, so I'm poetically ill. I'm pure like cook up and lyrics shine like fish scale. I got the banger at your throat and you ain't showing no signs. K-Dep, let them know I get down for mine. I get down for mine. I get down for mine. I get down for
All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? It's Gangsta Talk. Want to get right to it. You know, we keep talking about how there is no hope. We keep talking about how everybody hates black men. But you see, we don't have any black men who are interested in doing anything for black people. Now, a lot of them say they want to do something. They even got groups out here, right? But when you really look at the groups and you break the groups down, there's nothing behind the groups except exploitation for black people. That's all these groups do. They just exploit black people for money. That's all they do. Now, I want you guys to listen to something. And before I tell you who it is, I want you to listen to what they're talking about. And this is one of the main reasons why we as black people can't advance and why black men don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. Okay, then get that FBI thing going.
All right, covering our bases with the fair use. This channel may contain content not authorized for use by its owner. However, according to Section 107 of the Copyright Act of the United States, the fair use, I repeat, the fair use of copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research is not an infringement of copyright.
All right, now, like I said, I want y'all to pay attention to what you're listening to, okay? Before I tell you what's going on, I want you to listen to what's being said, concentrate on what's being said. Go ahead, Dane, fire it up.
Jesus. And the Pan-African community turn around and tell us that the white man and Jesus, the black church is what did this to it. But damn, here goes your black church right here. The origins of Pan-African. 1830, they put together all these bourgeoisie ass niggas in America, met up in Philadelphia at Mother Bethel in the church, and they discussed moving you niggas ass to Liberia, Canada, or wherever you can go. What first thing smoking. They wanted you away from here. Why? Not they idea. Where was their idea? Them and the white boy. But they said,
Time, brother. Time.
hey, white boy, can y'all leave?
All
Hell
right,
no,
time.
we ain't going nowhere. All right, you know what else they did? All your HBC.
Time, brother. Time. You can't hear me?
Okay, all right, my bad. Turn
That's why I said I gave y'all the option. Do y'all want 10 minutes or 8 minutes? I said that. Do you want to give them another 2 minutes, Jabari?
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. You got 2 more minutes, so we could do the 10 minutes.
Nothing. Let's go. I bet you won't come back and prove what I said was wrong.
Brother, it's on you. You could keep going. Go ahead. Time will start.
In Port Royal experiment in '65, the Union defeated the Confederates down there. They took over Sea Island. Well, they instrumented the Penn School down there, which is all this shit is Quaker. Instituted the Penn School, and down there they used that blueprint to come through the South. After they leave out of there.
How is it that niggas know all this shit about so-called history and all of the stuff that's supposed to have took place here in America dealing with black people, but don't know a damn thing about raising a child? How come they're not scholars in looking up information on how to raise a child? How is it that they have all of this so-called knowledge about all of these other things that at the end of the day don't do nothing for us either, but for some reason can't run a stable household, can't do something as basic as take care of their own children? Somebody try to help me understand that. Now you hear the vigor and fire in this guy's voice about some shit about the church and all this other stuff, but you don't hear a peep out of these dudes, nor do you get the vigor and the fire when it comes down to them having to take care of their children. Play it, Dan.
of doubt that these Pan-African niggas helped them to try to colonize the land from the indigenous Americans. Bars.
All right, man.
Uh-oh.
It's going down, Jabari. I hope you ready for this. First round, Jabari, you got 8 minutes in this round. The time will start when you start, my
10 minutes. You got 10 minutes.
I mean, 10 minutes. My bad. Thank you. You got 10 minutes in this round. The time will start when you start, brother Jabari.
Let's hear this pastor preach.
Hey, and I need you, legendary Top Cat, to tell your people to please stop spamming the chat. We know they love you, brother, but tell them to stop spamming the chat because you know they mess it up when they do that. Let your people know, brother. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all, we're gonna stay dangerous, but you know, if y'all spam, when you say they spamming, what you mean they doing?
They spam in the chat. They know what spamming means. I'm a little off with that too, but my people is hitting me up, let me know to tell your people because you know we respectful over here. When Jabari debate,
we're gonna be respectful too.
Yeah,
but
when Jabari debate, we don't do nothing to mess up nothing.
You know, the Indian, we wild Indians. So.
Yeah, we see the arrows flying. It's all good. We love it. Arrows flying, feathers flying. We love it. It's good. Brother Jabari, time will start when you start, brother.
I'm not even exactly sure where to start, son, because I don't know whether Big Chief made an argument. I thought that he was going to try to explain how the Pan-Africans actually have led to confusion, but then he didn't.
Hold on, brother. I can't let you just talk, brother. I mean, whatever you want to do to respond to that, you got 10 minutes in this round, brother.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead, start me.
Okay, brother. Let's get it.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, he didn't talk about any Pan-Africans. He talks about the AME church, pastors, Masons, and he thinks that means that I don't know what he thinks it means. Just because they're pastors and Masons, what does that mean exactly? Then he even said some really confused things. They started the AME church. Why didn't they start an African church? Does he not know that AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal? I'm confused. Now, you are talking to a Kemetic priest, a practitioner of ancient African spirituality. So let's be clear. I'm not here to convince anyone that they should be Christian or belong to a church. That is not what I'm doing. But I want.
First of all, there is no such thing as a Kemetic priest in 2021. There is no priest that can ordain him as a Kemetic priest. There is no bloodline from the people who can officially ordain him as a Kemetic priest. Okay? So that's a big, fat, huge lie. And here's another thing, right? They keep talking about Africans, keep talking about the churches and stuff like that, right? Again, they don't have no information about what's going on in the with the black people here in America. These guys never do. And you guys just keep following these guys, man. They sit up here and they feed you a bunch of entertainment, right? And then they fight amongst each other to make that entertainment more interesting. And they get you sucked in, so you start opening up your wallet because you feel good about being entertained. But at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. There's nothing behind it. There's no substance behind it. These people don't do anything for the black community. The black community stays the same. Well, actually gets worse because you support guys like this. How is it that people like this have followings? And you wonder why black men can't advance. Look at what they're talking about. Look at where listen to where their focus is. I'm glad they're doing this tonight because I really want you to listen to the focus of black men and why we don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out and why we are absolutely in last place. And these motherfuckers right here, they think they're the shit. Jabari, his alpha effeminate ass is the replacement for Brother Polite, who should be going to jail. And he thinks that they call him the Floyd Mayweather of consciousness. Are you kidding me? Not the Floyd Mayweather of getting brothers to take care of their children. Not the Floyd Mayweather of getting teaching young brothers how to take care of their children and how to raise their children properly, and put information out there for our young brothers to get their heads screwed on straight. Not the Floyd Mayweather of that, but the Floyd Mayweather of consciousness. And you got the other guy, his name is Top Hat or Top Chief, whatever the fuck he is. He's completely screwed up too. He's caught up in this Dan Calloway shit about us being Native Americans. I mean, what the fuck? This is why we can't. If you want to know why we're in last place, just listen to these guys. Play it, Dane. Please listen. Listen to the minds of black men. Play it.
Talk about the origin of Pan-Africanism. He didn't do any of that. I'm not sure why. Most people would say that some of the earliest adherents to Pan-Africanism would be Henry Sylvester Williams, who actually came from Trinidad, and when he arrived in London, tried to actually encourage Africans in the diaspora to unite and to work for a common aim and towards the betterment of the community. Another major functionary in early Pan-Africanism would have to be W.E.B. Du Bois, who actually was so enthralled with Pan-Africanism that he actually ended up living in Ghana. Now, I want to be really clear with you that Du Bois, while he's an impressive intellectual, does not come with his own challenges, because he had also lots of disagreements with other leaders that we can consider Pan-African. And clearly, I am referring to perhaps who I would call the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Clearly, these are those individuals that we should consider Pan-African. And I really don't understand why he didn't mention any of them, but then wanted to talk to you about pastors and masons. What does it matter if they're pastors and masons, black pastors and masons? What does it matter if they had any role or any affiliation with the Quakers? How does that advance your argument? What is the argument that you are making? The only answer that we can have at this point is none. You are making no argument. You are making no argument. All I heard was an assault of profanity with no substance. And I'm not exactly sure why he thought that that was a successful argument, but clearly he did. But I'm confused. I really am a little confused. I don't know why he believes that that is a successful way to argue against Pan-Africanism. Let me do this really quickly. I'm not going to spend all my time on this. I do want to show you some of the sources, some of the ways that we know that Africans are actually, how we know that people of black folks are people of African descent. Let's do that a little bit. Come on now. Here we go, working with a different system today. I'm sorry. Here we go. Let's look at this for a second. I think one of the challenges is that people who are part of the Aboriginal movement, either they manipulate and just really just mangle the history of the African, or they don't read it at all. There's a lot of, there are tons of reasons why we know that the African, the black person in the United States and in the West is an African. We know this through eyewitness accounts of Africans. We know this through eyewitness accounts of Europeans and the Tomhu. We know this through the Papal Bulls. The Papal Bulls were those documents that were written by the Vatican in order to acknowledge that they were doing something absolutely inhumane to those people on the continent of Africa. We know this through international treaties and foreign affair laws. We have records of war between Africans and Europeans. We have enslavement artifacts. We have artifacts of Africans who actually are clinging to Africa after being forcibly removed from it. We even have linguistic evidence. Take a look at some of these acts. We have the Slave Trade Act of 1794, the Slave Trade Act of 1807, so on, and so on. I'm talking quickly because we have very little time. We actually know that there are lots of wars that describe the enslavement of the African, and they were very clear who they were enslaving. The British sinking of the Spanish Armada in 1588, the battle over who would be able to enslave and actually rape the mineral resources of Africa. We know that Queen Nzinga fought against the Portuguese. We see an image of Queen Nzinga on the right. They're artifacts. Look at the artifacts of our enslavement. Why are these here? Why are they on the western continent the western coast of Africa, and also in the New World, the West? Why do we see them if nothing happened? How about the remains of enslaved people? Some of them, when you go to, for example, the African burial ground here in New York City, you'll see the African beads that they thought were so important to them. Take a look at lot B340. Please do some research on this. I'm not going to talk about that part of it yet because it would take too long. Here goes a bill of sale. And it says here, this is from 1763. On Thursday, arrived from the coast of Africa, the brig Royal Charlotte, a parcel of extreme fine, healthy, well-limbed Gold Coast slaves. They're telling you where they got them from. We see these ads throughout the world. Take a look at this one. Here's another ad for the ship Juba, which says that it came during the African trafficking Africans. This was from Bristol in the UK on May 1787. You're looking at the ads themselves. Unlike Big Chief, these are the sources. He gave us nothing but his opinion, which was wrongfully obtained. How about the description of the ship Catherine that says that it actually had 180 tons per register. It was a prime sailor fit for the African or South Sea trade. How about that? Well, I'm not going to go on this part now. I want you to also understand that we have lots of records.
Okay, all right. See, do you see what I'm talking about? I let that go uninterrupted because I really wanted y'all to listen to what he was saying. All of this African history, and they don't know a thing about their own people. You know, let's go back to the front part when he mentioned the so-called Marcus Messiah Garvey. Everybody wants to put Messiah on the name of Marcus Garvey. But Marcus Garvey was no Messiah. Marcus Garvey knew as less about black people over here than the people on this screen right now talking to you. And Marcus Garvey didn't give a shit about black people over here. Marcus Garvey wanted to exploit black people and use them as cheap labor in Africa. Okay, this is why he wanted black people to go over there. You know why? Because think about this. You're going to go to another country, right? You don't know the land. You don't know shit. What are you going to do when you get over there? Nothing. You have no guidance. You have no understanding of the land. You don't even know what you're going to do first. You know why? Because you've done nothing here. You have no experience setting up colonies. You have no experience tilling the ground. You have no experience setting up a civilization. You have no experience because you don't do that here. So what makes you think you're just going to go to another country and just all of a sudden throw up a civilization? It doesn't work that way. You have to know what the fuck you're doing. He knew that. He knew that. He was begging on the fact that you guys got over there and didn't know what the fuck you was doing. So he can exploit you and manipulate you. See, the African American knows very little about every goddamn thing. And this is known to the rest of the world. Even to these people over here, they know that the African American knows very little about anything. That's why they keep bringing up Africa, 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 Africa. They keep talking about everything but black people. These black men aren't interested in black people. This is why we're in last place. This is what black men are thinking about. This is the mentality of black people. Pan-Africanism? Where the hell are you going with no experience? Do you know what it takes to start a civilization? Do you even know how to begin? I want y'all to think about that, right? Do you know what it takes to start a civilization? Let me start breaking this shit down, okay? You don't just willy-nilly band together and get the fuck up and go to another country and start over. Especially going to lands that you don't know nothing about. You don't know anything about it. What are you going to do when you get there? Where's the leadership? Who is going to direct you? Who amongst you have the experience of starting a new civilization, or even putting together a town, establishing establishing leadership? Who are your builders? Who are your architects? Who are your farmers? How do you get this in gear? Are you taking inexperienced people over there who know nothing about nothing other than going to work and working for someone else? That's all they know. They go to school, they get a job, they go to work for somebody, and they get a paycheck. They know nothing about starting a civilization. They know nothing about getting any of that started. So what the fuck are you supposed to do? Huh? What are you supposed to do? Follow people? Follow them where? This is why I don't understand. Everybody keep talking about, Marcus Garvey. We need to go back to Africa. Go to Africa and do what? They tell you we need to go back to Africa, but they don't tell you what we're going to do when we get there. Hold on one second, y'all.
Yeah, but he's all over the place. Claim if they're like, where's the proof? And NC, the guy that was at the bottom, he's an Aboriginal, one of them Aboriginal guys. So the thing he had on his head was supposed to be some kind of headdress. Hi, Charlene. Yeah, so while they're having this debate going on, and that's what they be doing. They be debating. Aboriginal against the Pan-Africanists. I guess this is what this is about. Yeah, they got Shabar versus the Big Chief. Yeah, African Americans are American Indian. First of all, American Indians don't accept as one of them. Oh shoot! So I got caught up in the debate. And it's a time waster. Why are we trying to be part of some group that don't want us a part of their group? Now I know.
And then play a little bit more of it, okay? I'll be right back.
Okay.
Colonizers coming to get their slice of the pie. How do we know that? What is the African Association? Let's go back to 1788 when they went over there and put
5 minutes.
On. They also instituted the African Association.
5 minutes.
You say what?
5 minutes. Go ahead, brother.
All right. It was a African Association. They founded it. This was the association of promoting the discovery of the interior parts of Africa. They created the African Association to go in and colonize Africa. And here these colonizing ass niggas show up with the same name. They use the African Association. They never went nowhere, family. Let's walk. Who else was a part of this? Well, he go the other nigga they brought up, W.E. Du Bois with his colonizing ass, right? It's a shame what you did to them people in the Philadelphia experiment, but he got an ancestor that worked for the African Association who was Johann Bocart, okay? Johann Bocart, who worked for the African Association as well, and he ended up dying before he can goddamn. And then you know what? He went to college and went over there and played Muslim. Another nigga that went to Africa and played Muslim on their ass was the other father, widely known as the father of Pan-Africanism. You know what he did? He met a white boy named Knox, these Protestants, all these Protestant ass niggas. And Knox, look at him. 1845, he met Reverend Knox, a white American pastor, the Pan-African. And then they sent his ass over there to Liberia. Now watch this here. Guess who he's working with? He embraced the ideas of the American Colonization Society, of the American Colonization Society. Not only that, but guess what? The New York Colonization Society paid his way to goddamn Africa. The boy would have never went to Africa if the white folks would have never paid. He grew up in a goddamn Jewish church, but he took his ass to Africa and played Muslim. Reform. Here go this other colonizing that nigga right here, Garvey. Why I say that? I wouldn't say that if I, listen, Garvey, this book right here, Ernest Cox. Okay, this book right here, Ernest Cox wrote a book called White America. What do he want to do? Send niggas ass to Africa. He wanted you out of America so he can have our land, our family land, indigenous aboriginals land to himself. In that book on page 59, he says that, hold on, let me come up. He said a Negro leader will arise. He will be the foremost individuals in annals of Negro history. He will march his people back to the promised land. Who was that? Who was his Negro? Garvey. Guess what? Garvey said, I regard the Klan and the Anglo-Saxon Club as far as the Negro is concerned, a better friend of the race. Again, I told y'all they've been working with this white boy the whole time. That's why they're trying to send your ass to Africa. Now, you come over here, Ernest Cox. This the nigga who paid him. He's a known racist white supremacist. And also they helped him fund the Black Star Line, which come from the European White Star Line. Look at the colonization on that. Okay, here go another one of their white daddies right here. Listen, the white Jewish father of African studies dies. Jabari went sit here and had a degree in African studies if it weren't for this white boy right here. Put some respect on that white Pan-African. Y'all didn't know Pan-African was a white boy? He got pictures out there in Africa with all them white boys. He was the first one to come tell them that, hey, it's a connection between Africa and America. And the white boy said that. Boy, you ain't got nothing to do. Style our motherfucking business, white boy. The Pan-African let these white boys in. You know what? I had a slide, but I ain't gonna do it. I love John Henry Clark. I love the death. I ain't gonna do it, Pops. I got you. But this colonized slick head nigga, he come on out here. The father of Gullah Geechee, what's up, man? They stole my family history right here. Real similar, right here. Lorenzo Dow Turner, right? This him and the white boy, the Pan-African. Lorenzo Dow Turner, Melville Hercules, scholarly interest in evidence publication. He's known for the Africanism dialect. Well, he's a linguistic that went around through South America as well, telling them that their language and their culture coming from Africa. Okay? Colonizer. Let me say this here before we go into anything else too. He want to come out here and talk about DNA. He wasted all that time, didn't tell us nothing. He don't tell us about the importance of bloodline. He don't tell us where he fit in this African story.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Cool. I opened up and told y'all and showed y'all who my family was. He have yet to tell us anything about this miraculous ass African story. How do he tie in it? You didn't tell us nothing about no Africans. Stay focused as well, brother, and tell us how do you fit in this African story if you want to prove that we Africans and not American Indians? Because my family, I just showed and proved that we were. You have yet to show and prove anything, and definitely not how you attach to this African story. The Pan-Africans, the colonizer, Big Chief Top Cat. I raised my second round. Big bars.
All right, my brother Top Cat.
Okay, dang, stop it.
Okay, so as y'all can see, a waste of time. All this back and forth, and stuff like that.
Again, this is why we don't have a pot to piss in or we'll throw it out. This is the bullshit that's on the minds of black men. Okay? This is why black men don't build shit. This is why we don't have nothing in this fucking country. This is why we don't have any fucking wealth. This is what black men, the so-called scholars, the heady guys, the ones with all of the fucking brains, this is what they spend their time doing. They don't spend their time building infrastructure. They don't spend their time building any schools. They don't spend their time tending to the children, teaching the children properly. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. They don't spend their time creating jobs. They don't spend their time collecting valuable resources so that we can gain a headway in and have a foothold in this country. They don't spend their time acquiring land that we can build on. They don't spend their time manufacturing any products. They don't spend their time learning how to deal with raw materials. Okay, they don't do any of that. Black people don't have anybody in any significant place in this country. Any significant place that produce anything, there are no black people. Do you know how to create? Do you know how to work with silk? Do you know how to work with raw materials, raw minerals? No, you don't. This is why we don't have anything. Look at what our black men are doing. The ones who are walking around here with these self-created accolades, where they've created factions, where they give themselves phony positions in life and fictitious accolades. Again, Jabari, right, the brother on top, he's the Floyd Mayweather of consciousness, not the Floyd Mayweather of teaching black men how to raise their children, not the Floyd Mayweather of talking to black men and getting their heads straight about raising their children, disciplining their sons, putting together teams to acquire land, not the Floyd Mayweather of that, the Floyd Mayweather of consciousness. And you got this fool on the bottom, top chief, whatever the fuck his name is, right? Just a bag of hot air of bullshit. None of this shit that these people are talking will benefit black people. It's just conversational shit. That's all it is. It's cool shit to say and talk about in a conversation. But in the grand scheme of things, it means nothing in real life. It doesn't change our position. Does anybody understand that we're in last place and we don't produce anything and our children are nearly completely insane? Many of them are becoming career criminals, hell, even career murderers in their mid-20s. I mean, does the school, the prison pipeline ring a bell? That's still real. That hasn't gone away. But this is what is going on in the minds of black people, in the minds of black men. And you wonder why Dr. Claude Anderson said that there was no leadership to speak of in the black communities. I mean, is it hard to put that together? Listen to guys like this, and you guys really think that these dudes are really on to something. You think that these guys know some shit. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the shit they say is cool shit, especially the way they recite it, right? And then you get all caught up into it. Yeah, you know, the Aborigines, the Muslims, and the Africans and the Muslims, and the Marcus Garvey, and the Africans and the Muslims. But at the end of the day, when you go home, you're still afraid because you're unprotected. At the end of the day, your child is still a target by homosexuality. And you can't send him or her to school because you got homos in there trying to teach them how to use anal condom in the 5th grade. As a black woman, you're still unprotected. No protection is still provided. Nothing has changed. This shit is just good for conversation. It's not good for helping black people do any damn thing. And check this out. You got hundreds and hundreds of black men involved in shit like this. involved in this red pill, blue pill, conscious community, and really think that this shit is moving. You really think that this shit is happening. Marcus Messiah Garvey, Pan-Africanism. The average black man or black woman don't know shit about Pan-Africanism. Again, where are you taking the inexperienced people? You're taking them to a new land that they know nothing about. They don't know the terrain. They don't know the atmosphere. They've never even been in the area. They don't even know how they're going to be affected by the air or by the surroundings. The different setup on the plains, interacting with different types of animals. You don't know how to work with raw materials, so you can't skin animals. You can't process the animal skin. You don't have any knowledge. Now, this would be something that these guys were debating, right, on how to process animal skin. Oh, that'd be a great debate. Hell, we can learn something. But you can't process animals. You don't know how to work with animal skin. You don't know how to turn animal skin into fabrics. Understand something. We're in a position to where we totally depend on other people. And this is what your leaders are talking about. This is what your leaders are talking about, right? They're arguing back and forth about Marcus Garvey, Pan-Africanism, and who knows more about bullshit. That's all this is. Who knows the most bullshit? I know more bullshit than you, and you are not going to out-bullshit me. Damn if I won't out-bullshit you. I'm the biggest bullshitter anyone has ever seen. Well, then they must be a group of Stevie Wonders because they haven't seen me. I'm even a bigger bullshitter than you. That's what you're listening to. But you think what you're listening to is something healthy for you to mentally take in and do something with. But when you find out that once you mentally take it in, that's all it's good for. It's just for you taking it in mentally and maybe having a conversation with it about someone else. That's where it stops. That's where its usefulness stops. Play it, Dane.
None of us want to actually deal with. You're seeing European DNA. That's what you're seeing. Big Chief, please. All I've heard is profanity from you tonight. I want to speak to you as a brother. I really hope that you actually embrace science and history, because it will help you understand who you actually are.
You know, it's funny how niggers, right? These so-called scholars and intellectual acolytes, right? Funny how they always mention science. Okay? Even the average nigga out here is always talking about science. Don't y'all hear that shit all the time? Science, 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 science. But yet you have no scientific experiments with any collectible information. Science. What science are you talking about? The white man's science? They talk about studying science written by someone else. Again, we depend on other people. We're not doing our own science. That's why, a sister came up here, and shout out to Mella. Okay? Mella came up on the panel one time. And one thing she said that really, really made me respect her. She said that she likes to do social experiments on herself. Now, why do you think that really made me excited and very interested in her? You know why? Because she is gathering real time information. Real time, she's earning real time knowledge. She's experimenting and she's learning from the experiments. This is what black people don't do. We don't have any experiments. We don't understand science. All we understand is the shit that we study from white folks. That's it. You don't do any research, you don't do any experiments on your own. Like if you tell somebody, hey, listen, if you pour Coca-Cola on a battery, a corroded battery cable, it will eat the corrosion of the battery cable, right? And you do it and you be like, wow, that's great. But how did you find that out? Will you do any experiments? Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Really, yeah. Marcus Garvey, quite a few of them were dating white women too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nope, not early years like Malcolm X. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Where you going? Okay, well then we never know where we're going, Bella, because there's too many of us that don't know where we came from. We know that we generally came from Africa, so that's all we can say. But now we got some of these that said nope, they're Native American. Their people was here before the white man. Now I'm of the theory, and I can only go by certain things said in my family that okay, in the beginning they had Native American slaves and stuff like that, but they were too weak. They were dying from diseases and the hardship and stuff like that. That's where Africans came into it. And they lump all the slaves together: black, white, Native American, Chinese, whatever. And that's how some of us have the native blood. Then there's another one further down the line. Nope, Native Americans enslaved blacks too. In fact, some of the blacks that got black in the family, their family was probably a gift to natives, or natives were slave catchers. Some native tribes made their money by being slave catchers since they were good at tracking, and that's also and they kept a few, and sometimes they just forced them and returned them. So yeah, all human life began in Africa, and then they travel abroad. Yes, there's some evidence that Africans travel abroad, but some of the evidence has been disputed, destroyed, or they're not quite certain because there's like dark-skinned people all over the world, but they're not necessarily Africans. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Or so it's so distant, I don't know if they were considered Africans. But that's you see how easy it is to get roped into a discussion like that. Uh-huh. And these guys do it all the time. That's their way of helping their people, is to have these debates. And I'm thinking it don't matter. African, Native American, have a plan. If you want to go back to Africa, okay, fine. What part of Africa you want to go back to? What's the culture of that part of Africa? Is there any wars going on? How do they live? What things that they find acceptable that we would not, and vice versa. with things we do, they would not find acceptable. If you move there, how are you going to make your money? Is there going to be work there for you over there? And will it pay enough for you to live?
Well, here's the thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Brother B said you got to know where you come from to know where you're going. Well, I disagree with that because we come from America. Our ancestors come from Africa. I don't care how many times we want to try to hold on to something, right, that we're really not connected to. And black people, for some reason, don't want to let go of something that they're not even connected to. We don't come from Africa. Our ancestors do. We come from this country. This is where we was born. We are not full-fledged Africans. We weren't raised in the Congo, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, Togo, Papua New Guinea, Uganda. None of us. We were raised here. We were born and raised here in America. And this is why we can't get our shit straight here in America, because we keep chasing ghosts. And you got people like this who keep you misled. This is why you can't build shit here. This is why you won't stand up for yourself here. Again, where's Marcus Garvey taking us with no experience? We don't know how to build no goddamn nation. We don't know how to start any damn civilization. Where the hell are we going? Like it or not, deal with it or not, America is all we know. Now, some of you don't like that because some of you hate this country. And I understand that because the way we've been treated. But nonetheless, it is our country. It is where we were born. Now, some of you can come to grips to that if you want to, or you can leave it alone, or you can continue to refuse it. But at the end of the day, this is where you come from. Our ancestors come from Africa. We come from America. And if you talk to the Africans in Africas, right, they will tell you that this is your home. They will acknowledge your ancestors, but they will tell you that this is your home. Now, I understand a lot of people don't like that. You don't want to hear that, but that's the reason why we can't do shit here, because we keep splitting up. We keep taking all these false identities. You got Aborigine, you got fucking Chief Holiday with the goddamn Native Indians, and you got tribes and all this other shit. We need to focus on what we are right here in this country. And we need to master these lands before we can go anywhere. You can't just jump up and get the fuck out of here. That may work for one or two people on some individual shit where you go and you meet somebody and they may help you or whatever. But as a collective, you can't just jump the fuck up and get the fuck out of here with no goddamn experience. You don't know what the fuck you doing when you go to these other countries. The hell you think this is? Some kind of cartoon? You take your ass somewhere and you got to deal with wild animals you ain't never seen before. Mosquitoes the size of fucking Volkswagens. Different climate brings about different types of allergies and diseases that your body is not used to. You may go somewhere and catch a cold and fucking keel over. It's not as easy as you think to just pick the fuck up and go to another country. What the fuck you gonna do when you get there? if you don't know anyone. See, all this shit sounds good. Yeah, we need to go back to Africa. Back? You've never been to Africa. You didn't come from Africa. What the hell you mean go back? You didn't come from Africa. Our ancestors did. I didn't come from Africa. I'm not an African. Do I have Africans running through my veins? Yes, I do. My ancestors are African. I'm not an African. I'm an American who happens to be black, who is of African descent. I'm not an African. I was not born in Africa. I was not raised under any African customs or traditions. I don't know any of the African languages or dialogues. I am what I am here. We need to focus on who we are here. This is our land. We need to tame it. We need to focus on what we are here. Because if you can't do that, you're not doing it anywhere else. I don't care how many times Dr. Umar Johnson whispers sweet nothings in your ear in the form of Pan-Africanism. I don't care how many times Chief Holiday and them whisper sweet nothings in your ear in the form of Aboriginals and fucking Chief Warhorn and all of them Native Indians or Hebrew Israelites. You need to master the lands here. This is where you come from. You do not come from Africa. Everything that you are is here in this country. This is where your knowledge of self is. Play it, Dan.
I work with Ambassador Arikana. Ambassador Arikana, Jabari Osaze, and Anika Daniels Osaze are going to be installed in the same ceremony on December 11th. I know her well. And so I'm not sure how you got so confused. Let me show you a few really quick things. First of all, Sonnetter, I'm not at home. I wish I was. Because one of the things that I would do, he seems to want me to prove my African lineage, and that's really bizarre. One of the challenges that he'll continue to have is that he's going to have to understand that when we talk about people of African descent.
Another problem that we have too, right? I heard somebody say something in the chat, right? We need to focus on African ancestry. Yeah, that's fine too, right? But we need to focus on our American history here. You know, what our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents here in this country passed down. So we can establish something here. We're too busy running over into other countries. What did our bloodline here establish? What did our great-grandfathers and grandmothers here in this country wanted us to do? Did they pass down land? What did they do? See, these are the things that we don't focus on. The part of our history that's here, where we were born, we don't focus on that history. Everybody can tell you all this other shit about Pan-Africanism. They can tell you about African history, right? You listen to these guys, they hell-bent African this, African that, African in the baseball bat and the big African man in the black hat. Africa, Africa, Africa. What about America? What about your history in this country? You have a history here too. Your father, your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother and grandfather. What about their history? What did they pass down? What type of people were they? What is in your bloodline that you must carry on, that you must establish today for your future children? What did your grandparents and great-great-grandparents do? What did they want for you? Did they think several generations ahead? Did they plant seeds that will grow several generations later? What is your lineage here? Now everybody keep talking about, well, I'm African, I come from Africa. Okay, even though that's not true, you didn't come from Africa. You may have African blood in you, and you may be of African descent, but you didn't come from Africa. Now you get the fuck over there, right? What are you gonna do? How do you fit in? Right? And how come they address you differently? Huh? A brony. We have the Thunder Princess here, right? Right now she's sick. She's in the hospital in Ghana. Okay, we wish her well. And people that used to be here with us have not shown up and said anything about her. But she's in the hospital in Ghana. She's getting better, right? She's African. She's from Ghana. The conversations I had with her are very, very interesting about Africa. She would come on here and she would tell you that, yes, she accepts you as a brother or a sister, but you're not African. They respect your ancestry. But this is why they want you to come home, right? They want you to come home because you don't have the customs, you don't have the traditions, you don't understand the land, you don't understand the type of people your ancestors were. Why? Because you were never born in that country. Now, they will accept you as a brother and sister, but not a native brother or sister. You're not a native African. So when you go there, you have much to learn. Much to learn. So tell me, how the hell are you going there and picking up and starting an entire new civilization? Especially when it's already occupied by other people who don't think like you, who don't have the ways that you have, weren't raised in the system you were raised in. You're just going to go over there and establish a new civilization? Good luck with that. Especially with no information, no understanding of the people that you're dealing with other than the fact that your ancestors came from Africa. Play it, Dave.
Carving out enough space for about 1,500 families. I want you to understand that that number has increased. That if you actually return to the continent, you will actually be able to set your roots there. By the way, what if, for example, if people on the continent didn't want you to have your roots there? What if you had to fight with continental Africans for your birthright? What would that matter? That doesn't mean that you're not an African. That doesn't mean you're not an African. Even if continental Africans didn't want you to return, that doesn't change who you are. They don't get to erase your birthright. You are who you are. And you ain't who you ain't. I don't know. And you said a lot of things about me tonight, brother. This is my one jab. I want you to take the pigeon feathers off of your head and be clearer about who you are. Look at that messy headdress he got on, Sabetta. Come on now. And let's go further. He showed us something about Sankofa, saying that scholars were saying, well, maybe that symbol was not properly used. What does that symbol have to do with you being an African? Even if they said, well, maybe the symbol we saw was not a Sankofa. What does that have to do with you being an African? You are not making arguments. You're not making arguments. And I really think that what you have done, you said you stayed up all night. You should have been asleep. You should have been asleep. Because you've wasted your time, you've wasted my time, and you've wasted the audience's time. You've ignored all the sources I've showed. You haven't even addressed any of them. You said, well, some of these people he mentioned want to go back to Africa. So,
okay, stop that. Stop
so
that.
what?
Okay, yeah, we all claim our African ancestry. I'm not saying it's not real. But you know, something very interesting about Africa is that a lot of y'all don't know, right? See, if you jump ship and go over there, right, without doing anything with your people over here, if you tell them that you just jumped ship, they would probably tell you to come back over here and help your people first. Your people. Your people. So what does that tell you? You go to Africa and they tell you to go back to your people. How would you feel about that? What would go through your mind? See, over here, as the people, we're struggling because we can't work together, and our minds are, you know, scattered all over the place. And we got too many personal issues that we can't seem to work out, that many of us don't want to let go because we're extremely selfish. And so we're ready for the people to fail as a whole because we can't get over selfishness. It's funny how many of us are so scholarly and but had some of the most pathetic.
All right. All right. Good night, Bellaby. All right. Look like we have a little tech problems, but yeah, I think you should go for a visit, see Africa and stuff like that, and see what it's all about. See what the people's about. Hey, there's nothing wrong with visiting. Yeah. Yeah, everybody, family members that have gone to Africa, they said it was a wonderful experience. Now, are they moving to Africa? No. Well, there's one that's still thinking about it, but he's trying to make out a plan, about it. Because, hey, his money is made in America. But he loved visiting there. I know at least 3 separate times he went. Yeah, and he encourages all to go.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, and the crazy thing about this is, right, is that this is what we listen to, and these are the people that we follow, right? But we can't get over our own petty differences and issues because most of us don't want to let go shit that we like, right? Or we don't want to let go of our own ideas and want to go our own way. So as a collective, we fall apart, and so we can't help ourselves. And traveling somewhere else to a faraway country, thinking that you're going to achieve some kind of unity with a people that you have no experience in being around. They don't know you like that. They know that you have ancestry to them, but as a people, they don't know you. They don't know your ways. They don't know your traditions. They don't know your behaviors. They don't know you like that. And you don't know them like that. So it's kind of like just being a kid running around in an amusement park. Ooh, I want to go on the ride. Ooh, I want to go into the spooky house. Ooh, I want to play the game. Play it, Dan. Dan?
Racing, or else they was gonna take it because they've been wanting this property for a long time. What happens is her grandma sent her out there in that grave site and had her jot down all of these people's names, her and her cousin at the age of 17. She's 63 today. And so we know who we are because the bodies are still there. On my mom's side, Cherokee Indian out of Central Texas right there. We still have our land there to this day. My grandpa was the first black man to drive buses in Houston. My family is on the Alabama Casada reservation. My second great grandpa, Papa Charlie, fell down the well at the age of 49 and broke his neck. He was born and buried right there on the Alabama Casada tribe. On my grandma's daddy's side, I mean, yeah, okay, because Jabari said we have more than one ancestor, and I wanted to go through my whole list because.
But hold on, brother. You do know that that's not no proof, right? Everything that you just said, you do. Hold on. You do know that you have not proved anything. Everything you said was hearsay and Dad said this and he said that. But brother, let me move on. I asked you the question. Let me go to you, Jabari. Oh man. When you hear brothers say, talk about Africans and say things like, well, you know, the Africans don't want us. Listen to what they say. They saying bad things about us over here. I do want to let you know, Jabari, that we do the same thing to them over there. If you listen to African Americans over here, we say the same bad stuff about them. So what I'm saying to you is both sides is confused. Both of us are lost. Both of us still suffer slavery syndrome. Both of us, we have been stripped of our of a knowledge of self. So talk to us, brother, about Africans. What do you think about brothers who talk bad about Africa? How does that make you feel when you see young brothers doing it too? And not only is they young brothers, but they got a following. Top Cat got a following. The legendary Top Cat got a following. I'm looking in the chat, and there's a lot of people that follow this good brother. How does that make you feel, brother?
I honestly, Sonnet, it pains me. It pains me. It pains me that there are individuals who actually would like to actually disconnect themselves from the African continent, the continent that gave civilization to the world, the continent that is the most mineral wealth, the most mineral rich continent on the planet, the continent that actually peopled the world. It really pains me when I hear people say that. And I get to the point where I have to actually acknowledge that I have traveled on the African continent for 20 years, over 20 years. I know that Top Cat has probably never been to the continent of Africa, right? I've traveled to the continent for over 20 years. I have business partners on the African continent. I have friends. I have family on the African continent. And on December 11th, Jabari Osaze will be named a chief in the Cebu region of Ghana. I want you to be clear that one of the things we must do, Sonnet, is we have to get back into dialogue. Just as we were the victims of enslavement, so many on the continent were victims of colonialism. So there are some who have misunderstandings, confusion about who the diasporan African are. But whose responsibility is it to reclaim and to repair the actual fractures that have occurred in the family? We have to do that. And, we're going to have to go back further than 200 years. Top Cat doesn't even realize, I'm coming to the end here, he doesn't even realize that the piece that he played doesn't even help his argument. He says that his aunt said that he had to go back 200 years. That would take you back to 1821. That would take you back to 1821. Are you listening to yourself?
All right, hold on. That's enough. I got another powerful scholar in here in the chat. He go by the name of Ismail Bey. And Ismail Bey, I think Ismail Bey said something that's false. He said DNA cannot be used by law. Now, I don't know what he's talking about because that's all they use in the courtroom is DNA evidence. I don't understand what Ismail saying. Maybe he could call it in and explain more. So, brother Top Cat, I want to give you the floor, my brother. And you have you can ask Jabari a question, and I'm going to put a time limit on it of 2 minutes to answer the question, because I see where this will go. This will be a long answer.
It probably will.
All right.
It
So,
probably will.
what would y'all like, Top Cat? 2 or 3 minutes? Talk to me.
3.
All right, 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes to answer it. Brother, you got the floor. You can ask Jabari a question.
All right, Jabari, where do you have family in the South?
Yes.
Do you mind me asking? Well, what part? Do you
I
mind
have
me
family
asking?
that I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking. You're asking where they live in the South?
Yes, sir. What part of the South are they from?
Okay. I have family in South Carolina, North Carolina, Atlanta, Florida. I have family all over the South, actually.
All right. And are they all African?
The people that I call family.
Do I start the time now or what, brother? Because you asking him, you're going to ask him a question.
Questions too. They're African.
Okay, I'm going to start the time now because you asking them a series of questions.
Okay,
it was like I said, I wanted to get to the question.
Okay, go ahead. That's what I was wondering. Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead.
No, it's on you.
Well, yes, they are. And I showed this before. I actually have just a screenshot of it. I wish I could show more. It's going to only take a second. I showed this before. I want you to recognize that. Are you seeing this screen, Sonetta?
Not yet.
Okay, give me 1 sec. Oh, yeah, I have to do one thing. Okay. You know, Jabari Osaze is an unusual person because I am actually able to trace myself back directly to the continent. We have a lot of
I see the screen.
You see it, right?
Yes.
We have a lot of family that
I'm familiar with this. I'm asking.
Yeah, well, let me finish. I don't know if the audience is.
Yeah, but this not
as you look at this, you'll actually see that I can trace myself directly back to the continent of Africa. And I know that you think that we're just doing DNA. We're not. We're not just doing DNA. Here goes my father here. And here I am here. They misspelled my name, Gambo. It's Jabari Gamba Osaze, born March 25th, 1972. So what I want you to recognize is I am able to actually trace myself directly back to the continent of Africa. I know that there are a lot of folks that might not be able to do that, but I think that DNA is helpful as well.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So my question would be this here then. How important is bloodline in this conversation and Pan-Africanism? Or in just what you preach?
All right. The time starts.
Well, brother, when you say, he's asked me a lot of questions, by the way, son.
No, this is a question. This is a question. No, I wanted to try to get to know you, try to get a feel.
When you say, so, I have no problem talking back and forth with you. I just hope he's going to give me as much time to talk to you as well. When you say bloodline, I want you to understand that when I show you a lineage, I'm in fact showing you a bloodline. And when they take your DNA, they're in fact looking at your DNA. I know you're calling it bloodline, but there's no difference between your bloodline, your family tree, and DNA. Those are not different things. These are different ways for us to arrive to the same place, to find out who you were related to. And I'm going to say to you that that list that you just saw goes back a lot further than 200 years. You gave us 200 years. 200 years would put you in the middle of the transatlantic enslavement trade. There were certainly Africans who intermarried with native people. I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning your fundamental assertion about whether we are not African and that we are actually the native. But there were certainly Africans who intermarried. And I'm going to say something to you, Top Cat. There were people in my family who intermarried with Native Americans. You'd actually see that if you looked at my DNA. But I'm not saying to you that that you're actually not seeing an African in front of you. You're seeing an African who has a wide blend of DNA. And that blend occurred when my family was taken from the continent and mixed with other people that were found in the Caribbean, that were found in the American South, and found in other places. I have family in all of those places. You know, I said at one point, and I think this might be why he asked this question, Sonnetter. I said at one point on your channel that my mother is from Guyana and my father has family in the Bahamas. And they thought that that meant that I did not have any family in the American South. And I think this comes to a fundamental confusion that I see so many people. I'm going with the time, brother. You gave me 3 minutes to answer. I actually think that this is a fundamental confusion that we see with people in some communities. I have 4 grandparents, 4, and 8 great-grandparents. They come from different places. That's how lineage works. Showing us one auntie or one grandmother doesn't tell us that you're a Native American. I don't even know if you understand how lineage works. You would have to show me it on all 4 of your grandparents or all 8 of your great-grandparents to make the argument you're making. And you certainly would have to go beyond 200 years. That just means that somebody, if we believe that, and I don't know if I do, that someone who was an enslaved African married with someone who was Native. That doesn't say that you're not an African. But what it does mean is, once again, you're a confused African. And I'm here to disabuse you of your confusion tonight.
Time.
Interesting.
All right, Brother Jabari. There it is, the time. Brother Jabari. I would like for you
All right,
to
then you can get off the screen. Cut it.
Cat a series of questions and let me know.
Interesting stuff, right? A whole bunch of nothing. How many times you heard the term African? You know what this is? You guys remember in history when they used to beat the hell out of our slaves, and they used to tell them when they taught Christianity to them, don't worry about anything here. You will get your reward in heaven. Well, that's pretty much what this information is. It's pretty much along the same lines, right? Don't worry about who you are here in this country. You'll get your reward when you return to the motherland. So just forget about who you are here. When you look at history, no people who came from one land sought to establish themselves in another land unless they were driven out and they had no choice. Or they already established where they were from and they sought to go out and tame other lands and bring those lands under the same type of civilization. We're the only people that don't want to establish where we come from. They want to go taking our ass across the country, thinking that we have some kind of carte blanche because we are of African descent. But these people don't even know us like that. Listen, you can keep denying whatever you want to deny. You know, it's not my place to make you change your mind. Okay? Am I of African descent? I am. But am I a native African? No, I am not. I would have to learn the ways of my ancestors. And this is why we don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. This is why we can't advance. Because of the shit you just heard. And you know what? It kills me because I'm glad it brought out so many people. I really appreciate you guys showing up tonight on the Slate podcast. It brought out a lot of people. Listen to this. I really want you to hear why we can't advance. Because this is what black men are doing. This is what they're wasting their time with. This is what they are occupying their minds with. Useless information that leads nowhere in the grand scheme of things. It's good for a conversational piece, but at the end of the day, it leads to nowhere. Before we shut it down, we're going to hear just a little bit more. And then I'm going to come back and talk about it, and then going to give her final words. And then we're going to get on out of here. Not going to throw down a link tonight because it's late. All right? Dane, play a little bit more before we get out of here.
You are African. Ain't nobody in America, ain't nobody parents in their house told them they was no damn African, unless they was a part of one of these goddamn colonizer movies. Okay? Now that is a fact. Okay, so that's how I know that ain't nobody slept with no African. And I don't have no problem with no Africans, bro, but that's what I'm saying. My WhatsApp is full of Africans. Cameroon, all of that, Uganda. I'm fucking with them. They love me. You know what I'm saying? I text them, I love them. This ain't that. It ain't no self-hate or nothing. It's the fact that indigenous people around the planet can't be indigenous people ever since colonization. They got this title Africa thrown on them. From the Southeast to everything. They come in with this slave story narrative.
Stop.
Where's the African culture at in America then? What were you?
Stop. How many of y'all have figured out what's fundamentally wrong with this whole setup? And what they keep arguing about, right? Africa, 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 Africa. And this guy, Top Cat, whatever the hell his name is, with the large following, keep talking about indigenous people and all that other stuff. Anybody figured out what's fundamentally wrong with all of this yet? Dame, have you figured it out? Come in here real quick. Have you figured it out? What's the fundamental mishap here?
They're not saying what they're doing with this information.
Okay, well that's close, but that's not it. Anybody else want to take a shot at it? What's wrong with this whole picture here, y'all? It's one fundamental thing that makes all of this null and void. One fundamental thing that defeats Top Cat's argument. Just one little small tiny thing. It defeats his whole argument. Anybody realize what that is? Since Jabari can't beat him, I'll beat him. The problem with Top Cat's argument is he doesn't understand one thing. He doesn't understand one thing. Science, no matter what science you find, would it be African science, white science, whatever, it's come down to one thing, that all life began on the continent of Africa. That's where life began. That's not disputed anywhere on Earth. That is a fact, no matter what science institute you go to, anywhere on Earth, that all life started on Africa. If that is the case, then how the fuck can there be indigenous people anywhere else? Dane, doesn't that defeat his argument?
Yeah.
If all life...
Okay. What is written on his birth certificate?
Right, if all life began in Africa, and like I said, you won't find one science institution anywhere on this earth that will refute where life began. If all life began in Africa, how the fuck can there be indigenous this and native that any fucking where else? They all had to have come out of Africa. Why? Because that's where life began. So the indigenous argument is dead. The native argument is dead. All life comes out of Africa. All life has its origin in Africa. So this indigenous argument is over. Not sure why Jabari, the so-called African historian, didn't say that or didn't realize that. He's so busy sounding like a white man, talking about Africa, but you have a white tongue. You got white boy swag.
Say it to the hand.
Play it, Dane.
The Creek is William McIntosh. That's the McIntosh family. They are also Jacobites from the. They were also prisoners of the Jacobites. So his father, he have son, Chili McIntosh, and he also had Daniel McIntosh. They were signed up with the Confederates and forged over
All right, that's
Illinois
enough.
and
I can't hear anymore.
which were the Black Creeks.
That's it. All right, that's pretty much it. You know, Rafa, I can't hear this shit anymore. But this is what I wanted to share with y'all tonight. We're about to shut it down because me and Dan, we're pretty much sleepy. I got to work in the morning. But this is what I want to share with y'all tonight. I want you to hear what's going on in the minds of black men and why we can't do a damn thing in this country and why we don't have nothing in this country. Because this is what's occupying their mind. And they seem to want to engage each other in these frivolous debates and arguments that don't amount to any damn thing. They don't even have the right information. This guy's talking about indigenous people when all life began on Africa. Began in Africa. But this is the type of shit that keeps black men back in this country. And why we don't produce a damn thing. We don't even know how to work with raw materials. We don't even know how. We don't even know how to work with raw resources. We can't turn something into anything because we don't know how to work with raw resources. We don't have that knowledge. If they was talking about that, it would be a powerful stream. But that's all I have to say about it. I hope that you learned something. Hope I was able to show you something. This is the reason why we can't advance. I hope you were listening. And if you weren't, please play back this video and listen to it again. And you'll hear the same thing that I hear. You'll hear the reason why black men can't advance in this country. Take it, Dame, your turn.
Okay. Well, this debate is, to me, is pretty much useless because it's not a debate over which plan would be better to, advance the community, prepare the community, build something, or even come together as a group to decide which plan would be better. It's none of that. This is just a debate over whether we're Native American or African. No, it's a waste of energy. Yeah, if you're going to debate or have a discussion like that, let it be on something like a plan that y'all trying to implement. There's two plans, and y'all can only implement one at this moment. Which one y'all doing? And y'all give your points, the pros and the cons, and why it should be this one right now and the other one later, and vice versa.
All right. All right, thank you, Dame. Okay, Dame, just shut it down. Forget the music. Just go on and end it.
All right. Yeah, all that talking is just background noise to me, to my sleep. All right, so if you want some background noise to sleep to, this debate is the perfect thing.
Thank you. Just shut down the stream, please.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Peace, power, and unity, y'all.
Peace, power, and unity.